Cheers, everyone, and welcome to the Heath Bar. I'm your host, Heath Johnson. Each week, I sit down with an artist, creator, or leader who lives or passes through the Black Hills area, kick back a few drinks, and chat about their story. There's some incredible people that surround us, and this is your chance to get to know more about them. From singer-songwriters, film producers, craft brewers, community leaders, and more, the Heath Bar serves up a healthy selection of chats on tap. You can find this and past episodes on iTunes Podcasts and Spotify as well. Just subscribe in the app and you'll know right when your conversation is ready for you. There's also blog posts about the episodes, links to find more info on the guests, merch, and my public schedule as well at heathbaronline.com. And also get social with the Heath Bar on Instagram and Facebook with the handle @HeathBarOnline and on Twitter with @HeathJohnson. Also, for all you regulars at the Heath Bar and those of you interested in becoming a regular at the Heath Bar, I have suspended my Patreon account. I'm looking into some different options and things that we can do to help you all get involved and keep this going. So stay tuned in the future. I will have some information on that to you shortly. And coming to us from Colorado about a year ago, I've got Devon Sants for you here this week. Now living in Rapid City, Devon left what was a well-established music career in Colorado for the Black Hills of South Dakota. Of the artists that have visited the Heath Bar in the past, Devon is one of the few that primarily sticks to original music. Ask anyone and they'll tell you that's no easy task. I first met him a little over a year ago after he moved up here for work and quickly began rebuilding his name in music, this time in SD. He's a really fun guy to talk with and an eager and talented musician. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Devon Sants. Welcome to the Heath Bar, where the conversations are always on tap. Well, cheers, dude.
Yeah, same to you.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hope you dig the beer.
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
This is one of their seasonal ones. So like I was deciding between this or their porter because I love their porter. And I was like, Nate, bartender. Do you know Nate? Have you met him?
I have not been to Crow Peak.
Okay, you haven't been there yet. Okay.
No, I've been to every other brewery in town.
Gotcha. Just not Crow Peak? No kidding.
I hang out with TJ and his ex kind of works there.
That's your problem.
Yeah. I've been to Sawyer.
We love you,
good
TJ.
beer.
Sawyer's doing great, dude. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I've been there 2 or 3 times now and haven't had a bad beer. It's great.
No, I only went there the one time. They had great pizza, great beer. A great atmosphere too. I really like the way it looks in there.
I'm a big fan of them. It's kind of crazy to think that we have 3 breweries in Spearfish now.
Yeah.
Because Rapid only has 5. So when you think like per capita,
Yeah.
Spearfish is just full of
Alcohol.
breweries.
Oh, that's funny.
We get off work, we're like, well, I'm going here, and that's what we do. But no, it's pretty cool. But no, I'm excited to talk with you because this is, I think, maybe the first guest I've had that I don't fully know you. Everyone I kind of know a little bit about their backstory, but I've only first met you like a little over a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I met you at the Christmas special. Was the first time I met you last year.
That's right.
At
Yeah, at Hay
Brewery.
Camp. And speaking of breweries, at Hay Camp, and I know I've heard a little bit about you. I know a little bit about your story, I think, but more so than not lately, like your name keeps popping up all over the place. So it's like, it'd be cool to get to know you a bit more. So, did you know you moved here, didn't you, from
Colorado?
From Colorado. Okay, that's what I thought I had heard. So tell me a little bit. So you obviously were playing music in Colorado. How long have you been doing that?
Playing music in general, long time. Playing gigs in Colorado. I used to do it back in like 2012. Did it for a bit, and kind of got discouraged a little bit because other musicians were so amazing, and I kind of felt like I hadn't reached that. So I kind of moved to Denver. Was focusing on work. Kind of stopped playing music for a little bit. Started writing some songs while I was up there and got right back into it. Came back and started doing gigs everywhere. I used to play at a radio station all the time. This place called the Music House, KPHT. And these people were just awesome. They had their own radio station. I played there. They'd record it. I'd be on the radio. I'd help young kids learn and just kind of play on their stage. And then I'd play all around town, open mics. I'd play a couple different gigs here and there on Friday, Saturday night, and it was a lot of fun. And people just started liking me. So I'd play. I started a Facebook page for it, and people would follow my stuff. And before I knew it, I had a little bit of a following. I was kind of known. I'd be playing with other musicians and be like, "Oh, Devon's here. Let's get this guy on the stage. Let's get this guy on the stage."
Yeah.
And even when I go home now, just the last time I visited, I just stopped into open mic to see some old friends. I just went there to say hi, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a treat?" He's like, "All right, now the main event for the evening, Devon Sants is gonna play." And I was like, "Oh my, okay, come on, guys, thank you."
Like, chill out a little bit.
And it was my friend Alan Groves, who's an awesome musician, and so it's just kind of nice to have that. And I'm finally starting to get that here.
Yeah.
I've got friends who are musicians, and I finally feel like I kind of belong here, and I kind of a little family.
Yeah,
For a while,
that's
I
kind
didn't
of
have nothing. I didn't know when I first met you. I knew no one here.
You had walked in the door and didn't know a single person.
I walked into the state and didn't know a single person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is funny because it's hard to build that camaraderie, especially when you think of musicians and stuff. And once you build it, it's something you don't want to lose. Like, that's one of the biggest things I think that will probably end up keeping me living where I live for the rest of my life, is because it's a hard thing to build, and then to choose to want to leave that. I mean, that's a hard choice to make, especially when you don't know anyone and you're just moving up somewhere where you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, moving up here for work, I even told my boss and stuff at the time. I was like, "Hey, my music is starting to kick off. I really don't want to leave that behind." And there were some other things in my life I don't really want to get too much into, but I didn't want to leave that behind at the time either. And then things kind of changed. And then in January, it was kind of a rough time because things changed back home. I cut some people off, and I wasn't talking to certain people anymore, and everything just kind of changed in my life. And it was really hard. And I was still playing music. I wasn't playing it anywhere special. And I started drinking more, which I never really did. And I was hanging out at Lost Cabin, and I made some friends there. And one friend in particular, named Megan, introduced me to Haley Falzerano.
Oh yeah.
At the brewery there, and her and I were talking about Mumford & Sons because she had a little Mumford & Sons bag. And
Haley did?
Yeah. So
of course.
I started talking to her, and I didn't know anybody. And I started talking about music and how I was a musician. She's like, "You should meet my boyfriend Tyler."
Yeah.
And so I met Tyler Bills that same night. And then he's like, "Oh, man, you should come to the jam on Wednesdays in Sturgis." And then slowly through that, I met Chris Husengay. I did the gig you invited me to up in Deadwood. And then now that's like my family.
That's cool, man.
So it's just kind of cool how that kind of builds over time.
Yeah. How long were you here before you met her? And kind of.
I don't remember exactly when I met her, but I want to say it was in the spring.
Gotcha.
And then I just went a couple times to the jam every now and then, and they're always happy to see me, but we didn't really hang out or anything afterward. We didn't really start getting close until these past few months.
Okay.
Me and Chris have a similar genre of music that we like to play, and TJ as well, and we all kind of got along, but we never hung out outside of the Loud.
Sure.
And so we made it a point, and they came down to Rapid. We hung out and had a late night of just getting to know each other. And after that, we were just kind of hooked, and we've just been friends ever since, and I've since gotten closer with everyone else too, and just kind of built this tight-knit group. And so
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, when I started playing up here, there were several artists that were already pretty well established, and I started playing by a whim. I had a buddy couldn't make a gig, and I just jumped in and played. And then from that, kind of got a little bit of confidence, like, hey, I think I could do this. And then from there, I started getting to meet everyone and know everyone. And then I realized that not everyone else knew each other. And that's where the songwriters group came out. It was like, we should all kind of know, at least know of each other.
No, I agree.
We don't have to like everyone, because you can't expect that for anything.
Well,
Everyone has different genres and different tastes, but at least know of each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And even like people who play different genres, it's a respectable thing. We can go out and enjoy each other's music, support each other.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about the music scene here, is everyone wants to lift each other up.
Yep.
Sometimes you're like back home, some of it was a little bit cutthroat, where some people are like, "No, man, that's my area. Don't go to that. That's my place." Yeah, exactly. It's like gang territory. That's where I play. Stay away. And so it was a little bit more cutthroat back home. with certain people, but here it's not like that at all.
Well, I gotta imagine. How close were you to? Were you in Denver?
No, I lived in Pueblo.
Okay.
I have played.
I'm not sure I
some
know
places in
exactly where
Colorado
that's
Springs.
located.
Pueblo is like 2 hours south of Denver.
Oh, okay.
If you drive the speed limit.
Yeah. So your radius of playing music, like without having to travel, did you get to Denver often?
No, I never really. I think I played in Denver one time.
Okay.
But Pueblo is like the size of Sioux Falls, so it's way bigger than Rapid.
Oh, okay. So it's a decent sized city, though.
It's
Still,
it's pretty big.
Okay.
It's a little bit bigger than Sioux Falls,
Yeah,
actually.
I can imagine. There's quite a lot more musicians, especially if someone's trying to make it as a musician as a career, and like that's all I want to do. I don't want to have another job. I'm sure they get pretty touchy with their turf.
Yeah, and the people always
Who's
ask
this new guy showing up and playing?
why do you always play by yourself? Why don't you play with a band? And I mean,
Sure.
I have played back home. I used to play with a saxophone player sometimes named
No
Rich.
kidding?
Yeah, he was awesome. He used
Sweet.
to host open mic. We jammed together every now and then I would jam with this band called the Burnt Tortillas, and those guys were always really cool. Jammed with them a few times, but for me, I was just serious about songwriting, not really wanting to play cover songs, not really wanting to do this, just serious about songwriting. And so for me, it was really hard to find somebody who shared that level of passion for that. And some of the stuff I write about is very personal. It's all about my life experience, and sometimes people haven't really gone through some of those things, so they don't even know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that kind of made it harder too. But now I'm collaborating with some people who have that same passion, have that same experience in their life, and want to write about different things. So I feel like with some of my friends now, we may collaborate and do something pretty cool.
That's sweet, dude. Yeah, getting into deciding to put something into a song is not always an easy task. I've got tons and tons of unfinished and unwritten stuff that just sits there forever. But when you get the right people behind you, it's easy to get that finished. What got you into it in the first place? Like versus, hey, I'm playing cover songs, but now I'm writing my own stuff. Like what in your head goes, hey, I should start doing this?
Well, I guess for me, when I was young, I was always listening to music, loved music. And then I hit a turning point towards the end of 8th grade and 9th grade area. I used to have a lot of like suicidal thoughts. So I really got into, somebody suggested listening to Blue October because they sing a lot about that, and a lot of their stuff is pretty powerful.
It's like middle school time?
Yeah, this is like 8th grade,
Yeah,
9th grade, so freshman in high school.
Yeah,
started listening to them, and then I went and saw them live, and they were doing this suicide prevention tour. And I went to that in Boulder with my girlfriend at the time, and that kind of changed everything for me. Right after that, I realized like I have a lot of stuff that I'd like to get out that way, and so for me, it was an outlet, and that kind of literally, not figuratively at all, literally saved my life.
Sure.
In many different ways. Being able to have an outlet, being able to just have something I can fall back on whenever I was feeling alone, like I didn't have any friends. I could just go to the record store, and listen to my favorite people. And back then I listened to CDs. I'd buy a CD of whoever, and it's just like visiting my friends. And I kind of got that concept from my favorite movie. It's called Almost Famous. And in the movie, everybody kind of falls in love with Kate Hudson. She's this Band-Aid who loves the band. And there's this time when she's talking to this kid about, she's like, hey, anytime you feel lonely, just go to the record store and visit your friends. And so I've always kind of stuck with that mentality.
Oh, cool.
And now music is just intertwined with my life. I can't go without it. It's just always there.
Well, especially when you're dealing with, I tons and tons of friends that I know of that have gone through that, and there's something about music that you identify with, and not only identify with, but almost it becomes a salvation.
Yeah, it really does.
For me, I remember I never went through anything quite that severe, but you'd get down, you get depressed growing up, especially at that age, because there's just a lot of stuff going on. And I always dug like really depressive songs in those moments, just to like it felt like an outlet for me. Like this is how I'm feeling right now, and someone else has felt this also, and like you can kind of identify with it. I mean, you're right. You get that sense of friendship, even if you've never met the person.
No, and you really do. The best moment I've ever had playing. I finished playing a song, and this guy came up to me almost in tears. He's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you were feeling when
This
you
is
wrote
one of
that.
your songs?
Yeah.
Oof.
And he's just like, thank you for writing it. He's like, I needed to hear that in my life. He's like, I know you don't know me, but just thank you. And then he bought me a drink, and I never saw him again.
Well, words are powerful, man. Like words are, we forget sometimes how quickly a word can build or destroy an entire human. You know, I mean, we think that you can just, I don't know. I feel like that happens a lot with songwriting, especially, today when it's a career for a lot of people, and they just manufacture songs day in day out until something becomes a hit, and they forget that if it's not gutting you to the core, like, what are you doing? I mean, I don't know. There's got to be genres for everything. Like, bubblegum music has to exist. Does it? I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I mean,
there,
I feel like we're always going to have that mainstream sounding, that record company bought type of music that is there to just simply make money, and that's fine. But for me, I have a tattoo on my left calf. It's a pineapple, and it just reminds me to stay true to my roots, remember to have fun, not take life so seriously, and always just be true to who I am at the core. And that's kind of a big deal for me. And this musician I follow, he's a newer musician. If you haven't heard of him, his name is Noah Kahan. He's awesome. Check him out. He just wrote a song, and it's called False Confidence, and it's about, because he's starting to make it pretty big in the music scene now, and it's about how he was thinking, I want to write music to how it should be, how a hit should be, how that kind of mentality, and he wasn't being true to who he was. And so I love that song because I consistently try to draw myself back to, hey, I don't need to play something because I can, dance to it, or because it's, matches what's happening out there. I want it to mean something to me, because if it means nothing to me, then my heart's not in it.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
It's like if it's your art, so why not have it resemble you as close as you can? Why a pineapple? Is there a story behind that, or was it
kinda,
just?
I mean, so I told you what it means to me.
Yeah.
And, it came from, really, my favorite TV show of all time is Psych. And in that show, they're kind of reliving their childhood dreams, and he's like a fake detective.
That's right. I've heard of that show.
Yeah, so there's like a pineapple in every episode, but he's very not immature, but at the same time he's not. He's just being himself and being true to who he's always been.
Gotcha.
And the pineapple was kind of the theme, and that just kind of turned me on to pineapples, and I just liked the way it looked. Everybody has knickknacks in their home. Yeah. That's mine, and that's, for me, it just turned into this whole metaphor of my life. And then when I went to Hawaii this year, it even meant even more,
Dude,
So
when did you go?
I went. We went in August.
Okay, I was a few months before you.
Yeah.
Well, what island did you hit up?
Well, we went to Maui.
Was it Maui? Okay.
Yeah.
That was by far my favorite island I was at. We only went to Oahu and Maui, but I dug Maui way more.
Oh, nice.
Pineapples are delicious too, by the way.
Definitely delicious.
Dude, I'd walk around with coconut. And my wife would laugh, and we would be driving on the road, and I have a coconut with a straw in it sitting in the cup holder. I'm like, this is too good.
Yeah.
So we barely had any alcohol, just because I just loved the coconut. It was, oh my god, dude. Then I get back and I realized I could have put rum in that while I was sitting on the beach and didn't even think of it. I was just so excited that it was fresh coconut water, and now I'm like, damn it, now I have to go back. But
it's always going back is something that pulls you back is great.
You get it all worked out. You're like, oh, okay, now for next time, I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, when I was there, I actually went to an open mic thing, and there wasn't a lot of people playing, so I got to play for quite a long time.
No kidding.
And people loved it.
You played in Hawaii.
Yeah, and this one dude that was there was like, hey man, you should move here. You'd kill it here. Like, you're great. And I was like, thanks, dude. And so I'm still friends with those people on Snapchat.
Sweet,
and,
man.
They follow all my music stuff now, so it's pretty cool.
That's cool. I found we bumped into a guy on is it Front Street? I think it's Front Street. Yeah. And he was this older dude. He grew up and lived his entire life in Maui, and he was playing all these Johnny Cash tunes and Willie Nelson tunes, but in like Hawaiian style. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. It was so great. Super cool. And I bumped into this one guy. I forgot about him. He had a hot dog truck, and he used to work on what was the name of it? Big record studio back in the day. Came out with a lot of R&B. Damn it, I can't remember it now. I can't believe half of the story popped into my head, and I forgot the rest of it. Anyway, I'll think of it too. But there's some cool people that you bump into when you travel.
No, there really is.
Nice.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I just like to play everywhere I go. I'm like looking up. Can I maybe do a gig there? They have, even if it's just open mic. I just want to go check out their music scene. And if somebody bumps into me afterward, hey, I like it. Sweet. Now I can start.
You never know.
Mass produce, send all my stuff to you, and so you tell everybody about it. So next time I'm out here, it'll be a good time.
Do you do newsletters and stuff, or is it just kind of here's my Facebook page and?
Kind of who's on my Facebook page. There's a few people I'll directly send things to.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something new and I'm looking for feedback. I have a few go-to people that give me tremendous feedback. Shout out to Mr. Kyden Nix because he always gives honest, good feedback.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I've debated the newsletter thing back and forth, even with this podcast and that. And it's hard to find time to do something like that when you can just create a quick event.
Right.
Here's what's coming up, and throw it on Facebook, and everyone can see it instantly. I wonder if newsletters are a thing of the past or not, but maybe not. I don't know. I honestly don't think I've ever read a single newsletter that's ever been sent to me, but maybe other people do.
I subscribe to this app called Bands in Town.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They'll send me a message. Hey, this is what's, and I always read those, but I don't know if that would be considered a newsletter or not.
I don't know. I think a newsletter is more of it's like a quick story of, hey, thanks for subscribing, here's what I'm doing, here's some quick links to my stuff. But again, all this stuff is on your Facebook page anyway.
Yeah.
So isn't it easier just to, here's my Facebook page, everything is there?
I think so, but for me, you get trapped in the vortex of scrolling.
Yeah,
and you miss shit. So when I get that in my email, I'll pull it up, and I may not have even been thinking about them for a minute, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't checked out the Frights in a while or whoever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh sweet, they're gonna be on tour. This is what's going on. They have a new album coming out. I didn't know any of this. I haven't been on Facebook in like a week. So
right. Yeah.
I missed out. So,
I guess that's true. That's true.
So sometimes it could be beneficial.
Yeah.
There are those of us who only want to get online when we have to.
Oh, dude, it's over the top. I read last Thursday. I follow this. I think it's Ferguson Books and More. I think they're a South Dakota bookstore. I'm not sure yet where they're located, but they had posted this article, and it was talking about how if we took all the time we spend on social media and put it into reading books, we could read on average 200 books a year. And I was like, that's a lot of books.
That makes me feel like shit.
It makes me feel like oh my God, like I am lucky to get 10 books in.
Yeah.
No, let's be honest here, Heath. Maybe 5 if I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
And I'm always reading books. Like right now I've got 4 books I'm in the middle of, 4 different books from different. Some are fiction, some are other stuff and that. And I just kind of pick up, read a chapter here or there. But it takes me a long time because I don't just sit down and go through it.
Right, life's happening. Yeah. And I last year I wanted to read 1 book a month, and I think I read 1 book every other month.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal because I hadn't read in a while. And now this year I want to read 2 books a month, so I'm like, maybe I'll get to at least 1.
Well, and then you think of how often you
I'm embarrassed to see
spend.
what book I'm reading right now, but I'm almost done with it.
Is it 50 Shades of Grey?
It is 50 Shades
Are you
of Grey.
kidding?
No, I'm not kidding you,
you
man. That's why I
kidding?
was like, I'm not going to say this, and then that's the first guess you make. This is bullshit.
Oh my gosh, I saw it in your eyes, Devon.
Oh, yeah, you saw it in my eye. Yeah.
No, I had Jason Guthmiller. I thought that was the last time I saw you. Was at his 50th birthday party, I think. At Flanagan's.
At Flanagan's.
Yeah.
I didn't even know those guys. Those guys were awesome.
Oh, dude, so good. But he made a conscious decision last year to completely get rid of Facebook and spend more time reading books, spend more time doing other stuff. He only has Instagram, which I think also posts automatically to Twitter for him or something like that, But and I've seriously considered, like, the problem is, like, if you get rid of your social media, what do you do anymore to tell people what you have going on? Like, how do I tell people that I'm interviewing Devon if I don't have social media?
I mean, maybe shut down your personal stuff and do your stuff, for just music.
Can
or
you
for
do
your
that?
podcast. Yeah, you can.
You can completely not have a personal account?
Actually, I don't know.
I mean,
It's linked to my personal account.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can stop. You cannot use it, but the trapping's still there. It's sitting right there.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. I don't know. But, I mean, kudos to people that
I mainly
can.
check my... I mean, during the holidays, I use a little bit more because I was talking to family, but mainly I just check my music stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the new update. Do you have an iPhone?
No. I have a LG phone.
The new update with the iPhones lets you put limits on.
I've heard that.
your
Yeah.
time.
Like,
so, like, I have mine.
I can set that up too.
Oh, okay.
There's apps for that, and then B, I can do that through a different app on my phone that's built in.
Gotcha. Yeah, I set mine up to an hour of social media a day. But then as soon as you hit it, it says, time's up. Do you want 15 more minutes or do you want the rest of the day? And then you can choose or leave it alone. It's like, crap. I don't know. It is.
Oh man,
It's a vortex. You're not wrong. Like it sucks you in,
it
and
does.
you can't not have it anymore. Almost. I don't know. It's just it's nice to not have to pay to send out to make posters and do everything like that all the time. Posters are cool, but it's nice to not have answer it and tell them hi. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's nice to not have to be able to do stuff for free, but sometimes I wonder what we're doing. But anyway, so you got into songwriting. What was it like? What are your influences? Like as far as music you grew up listening to, and kind of when you put a song together, kind of the style or feel that's going through your head.
Well, I feel like my influences have changed since I started writing music, but definitely when I was growing up, some of my biggest influences of just music in general, because of what I grew up with, was I listened to a lot of Bob Marley because of my dad, and we listened to a lot of The Offspring and Metallica because he used to have tapes. That's what we listened to.
Yeah,
and it was awesome. And then as I got older, it kind of shifted a little bit more. I remember the first Mumford & Sons album that came out, huge impact. I loved it. Thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard because it was different from the other stuff I've listened to.
Yeah.
So that was big. Blue October, like I had already mentioned, always been big. And then, of course, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Mr. Dave Grohl himself, always a big influence. And then as I got in my later years of high school, I was always like a punk and ska kid.
Okay.
And then I was really into like metal too, so I was kind of just in that zone. Mm-hmm. And then after I started phasing out of that a bit, I got kind of more into Jack White and what the White Stripes were doing, and a little bit more alternative stuff. And so that Jack White's another huge influence for me.
Yeah. Did you see him? Were you up here when he came through?
No, I hear stories and I'm jealous.
He came through Rapid City
when he came through here
on that random tour he did, and no one knew where he was coming until boom. And I couldn't get out of work. It was 40 miles from me, and I can't go. I can't go.
I don't know. I think I would have we're closed.
Right. Sorry. Gotta go. But no, he put on a good show from what I heard.
I've heard good things too. So those are some definitely big influences. When I'm writing a song, lately I've been, not that I am really into country. I like country. I don't even listen to it. But they tell good stories in country music.
Yeah.
And I've really been interested in that idea of not only, I've always wanted to capture an emotion and an event and a feeling of what was going on in my life, but now I want to tell a whole story.
Sure.
And that way it's more relatable. And to me, it's like I got the whole thing out there rather than just a piece of it or whatever that is. So I've been kind of listening to some older country like Waylon Jennings, Mr. Willie Nelson, of course, and then for newer stuff, I like Chris Stapleton a lot.
This makes me very happy.
Yeah,
I've gravitated towards country probably for the majority of my life. I mean, I definitely went through an rock phase and death metal phase and punk.
System of a Down used to just dominate my life.
My favorite band back in the day, as far as metal went, was Norma Jean. Nodes of Renvier. I don't know if you've heard of them. Their lead singer actually lives in Sioux Falls, and he's a good friend of mine. But and I was listening to them before I even knew him, just back in college. But just like screaming death metal, I got into that really big. But I mean, as I got older, I just came back. It was because of the stories. Country music knows how to tell a story.
No, and I hear that. When I was in middle school, it was all about corn. And
oh my God,
Tool
I forgot
and
about
shit
corn.
like that. And that's I just went to a Tool show a few years ago. Great time. Same with System.
Dude,
but
do you
that's
remember
not all
Methods
I
of
play anymore.
Mayhem?
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to them?
Yes.
Get naked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And don't get me wrong. I'll go see a ska show any day of the week. You want to go see Streetlight or Real Big Fish? I'll be there, and it's a lot of fun. But
crap!
For me, it's like I don't know. Just where I'm at in life. People ask me what genre I play. I don't know.
Yeah.
Folk rock. Sometimes it's this like darker, bluesy, edgy alternative rock. And it's just kind of all of that. It's indie, it just kind of all blends together.
Absolutely, because I know I was listening to your EP you got up on Spotify, Mess I've Made? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called? Mess I've Made.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I was like, what? I don't know if it's just the human brain, if we're just kind of bent to have to categorize everything. But I was like, I don't know. What would I put this in? And probably someone that knows way more about music than I do would probably be better at it. But I don't know. Like, I listen to one song, I'm like, okay. Then I hear the other one, I'm like, wait a second. Like, it's hard, but it's cool.
On there, just 3 songs in particular. You got Dancing with the Devil, very bluesy, very edginess, soulful rock and roll. Mm-hmm. You know. Then you have a song I had wrote for a girl I was dating at the time, who was pretty important to me, and then that was called Like a Fairy Tale.
Oh,
that song's
yeah,
very
great
soft,
tune,
and it's very like folksy kind of, you know. And then I have The Ocean, which is more kind of pop punk, kind of got some edginess in there, and it's just like, what the
what are you
right
doing,
now?
man?
Yeah, and that's just how I am. That's all my influences come through, and I don't really care what genre I'm in. I don't really care what the tempo is, what it sounds. I'm like, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
this music matches kind of what I'm going for, and then bam, I just write the song.
But see, that's what's cool about, you know, especially indie songwriters, is they don't have anything to live up to. It's like, this is what I like. This is what's coming out of me when I put this song together. If you can't categorize it, fine. This is me, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even written songs myself that I don't like. I'm like, God, I hate that song.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty of those.
Oh my God, dude. Do you keep them around, or do you just completely get rid of them?
They're around. I don't play them.
They're somewhere locked, Heath.
Yeah.
You're never gonna find them.
I got one song. Literally, I wrote it about a quesadilla.
Oh my God.
It was short, and I think it said something along the lines.
I bet it was cheesy.
I don't want
Sorry, that was a
to
dad
be.
joke.
No, that's a great joke. I love dad jokes. I think it was along the lines of like, I don't want to be like a quesadilla. I'd rather be more like ice cream. Ice cream tastes real good, but quesadillas hide everything on the inside.
Oh.
So it was like, boom, hashtag deep, you know? It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I used to just write random stuff, because when I'm trying to come up with a good lick or a good guitar riff, I wasn't really paying attention to words. I'm like, all right, well, I need to have a cool little beat, and then I'll start writing to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes while I'm coming up with that beat, random words come out. And those are the songs I'm like, I can't play this in public.
Dude, when you get a melody together first before you have the words, and then you try to put, like you said, the random words to it, and then you're like, okay, I'll just put some random words here so I can kind of get a feel for things. Is it super hard to then go change those words?
Sometimes.
Oh
One
my God, I
in
struggle with it all the time.
I couldn't do it for years.
It's all I hear.
I loved the beat.
Yeah.
In the song, I don't know what I was thinking or what was going on, but I literally wrote it about a cannibal teacher eating students. I was like, what the hell am I doing? It was called Mutilated Bodies.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. It was terrible, but it was awesome. And I played it for my cousin. He's like, yeah, don't play that in public. And I'm like, all right.
But that's what happens then. If you go back and then you change the lyrics, you know someday you're going to be at a pub playing somewhere, and you're going to start singing those lyrics because it's what you default to in your head.
I know. And it took me years. 'Cause I wrote that like, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe 4. And I just rewrote that song finally. And it's called Devil You Want Me to Be. But it took me forever to even come back to it because I was like, I like that song. I don't really want to touch it. And so it does take a while.
I've got one I'm working on right now, and I've got like the first 2 verses done for it, and verses, I guess, but the first 3 or 4 lines, and I have the chorus melody, but I can't. I put the words to the chorus, and I took the words from a different song because I thought it fit, and then it doesn't. But now I can't get those words out of my head whenever I get to the chorus, and I'm just stuck. I'm like, well, maybe that's one of the things where it's like it's nice to have people to co-write with.
Yes,
because then you can, hey, where do you think this song is going?
Or just another musician, you're like, hey, dude, I need some feedback.
Yes.
Or maybe you could do like Avett Brothers style, because they have this song called A Perfect Space. Mm-hmm. And it's like one way for half of the song is like, all right, part 2, now clear the house. And it's like a whole different song.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Something kind of cool like that.
Have you ever done that?
No, but I have thought about it.
Complete break?
I actually, yes. Even on my EP, Keeping It Together has like a random change. It's still among the same category, but it's like almost a different song completely. And it's
I've
just
never
how
even
that's
tried.
the ending I wrote. And I was like, I like this ending. I'm like, it doesn't really match the song. I was like, I don't really care. It's my song. Fuck everyone who doesn't like it.
Do
It's
what I
fine.
want.
You know? So I just did it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
But that's the only song I've done that on. Other than that, it all makes sense.
Yeah, I've never even attempted. Like, when I get a rhythm in and the song's going, it definitely stays the same throughout the entire song. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's just
We'll have
fun to
play
play
around.
with. Yeah.
To play around with it, see what
definitely
happens.
Do that. I
You
know
want another?
Yeah.
I'll pour it while we're chatting here. Yeah. I'll be your bartender at the Heath Bar.
Oh, my, thank you. Well, I could tell you about the latest song I just finished.
Yeah.
I haven't recorded it yet, other than like a rough recording on a phone that's on my Facebook page now. It's called Home. I wanted to write a song about my grandfather who passed away, and a very important person in my life, very influential person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to write a song about missing home and Colorado in general, because that's where I'm from, and I get homesick.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I wanted to do both of those things, and then I started playing. I was like, maybe I could just do that in the same song. And then I wrote the first verse I had an idea for about advice my grandfather gave me. I didn't really know where to go with it. I had this idea for a chorus about Colorado, and I thought it was really pretty. And I was like, shoot, man. So then I was like, well, I'm going to stick with the advice theme. So then it's about my grandfather, home in Colorado, and it's about my father and the advice he gave me. And so I know you don't know me that well, but a little bit of backstory. I was adopted and kind of moved around a lot when I was a kid. And went through a lot of weird things. I say weird. Some of it was not weird. It was just horrible. But
I get it.
No, and it was fine. But I was always thankful for my grandparents, Doris and Ray, and then my dad, Jeremy, because they took me in. I wasn't their kid, and they raised me like I was. Always treated me like I was. Gave me family, something I didn't always have along the way, and they taught me some of the best life lessons I could ever ask for. Remember to be humble. My dad always told me that he didn't like liars or thieves. It's just like as if this was a sitcom, that would be his catchphrase. Like, I don't like liars or thieves. When I was growing up, so I grew up with that. It's like, okay, well, I want to be a person of integrity. I feel like other people my age don't even know that word exists.
Or at least how to spell it.
Yeah, or the word couth. I said that at work the other day, and somebody's like, "What's couth?" And I'm like, "Well, there's bigger."
Excuse me, did you say
problems.
tooth, like with a T? Like, no, sir, I didn't.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to me, and because they taught me that, I wanted to commemorate that and just celebrate what they taught me in a song. So it's about my grandfather, my dad, and about Colorado.
That's cool.
And it's an awesome song, and it was really hard to even perform the first time I was playing it in front of anyone, because it just hits.
Dude,
me
it hits.
in
Yeah,
a certain place,
That's the thing about writing a song is you're taking a little piece of your soul and just putting it out there for everyone to see, and of course you're gonna get emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not?
And especially this one's like honoring someone else, so I was really nervous about even sharing it with anyone. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to let people know I'm writing this, because if they don't think like this honors that person in a good way, then it's one thing to take good, feedback and criticism. I could do that all day, but it's like I let that person who's gone down.
Sure.
So I was really nervous about sharing this, and then I did, and everyone loved it, and brought some tears to different people's eyes, and it was just very kind of emotional, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So now I really want to put that on, everything, Spotify, all that stuff, and get that going, but I was really excited about writing it. It was really hard to write because it's just tugging on so much at one time. And now that it's over, I'm like, I don't even want to play that song for like a month. I need
You're just gutted.
Because
oh my god,
I can't deal with it anymore.
I need a break. My heart can't handle it.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're at your shows, do you try to focus mostly on originals, or is it a pretty balanced as far as?
I feel bad for the people who go through my shows, because I mainly play originals.
Okay.
Which,
And
unless
nobody
they've
knows
seen
them?
me, they're not going to know them. And when I played this gig recently at the Loud American Roadhouse, I played for like an hour and a half. It was the acoustic showcase. I only played 4 cover songs, 2 of which you probably have never heard.
There are also songs you don't know.
Yeah, I'm just like, dang, I'm sorry.
Dude, you should start marketing it as Devon Sants, Live in Sturgis, songs you don't know, and others as well. And just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I played a Blue October song, "Hate Me." That was pretty popular. And my favorite song of all time, "Last Kiss." I did the Pearl Jam rendition because that's my favorite. But then I played a song called "Rivers and Roads" by The Head and the Heart, which is kind of well known, but not really.
Yeah. When did they start? Are they fairly new?
Yeah, they've been around for a couple of years now.
Okay.
They're pretty good. I've seen them a couple times. We're going to go see them this summer. And then I played a song called "First Day of the End of My Life" by Amigo the Devil, which is a brand new band that no one's heard of. And he's like a really dark folk writer. It's awesome.
I've seen Head and the Heart popping up in my Spotify bands you should listen to list every now and then. And I was like, so far, I've like, ooh, I kind of dig this. It's
Yeah, no,
neat.
they're really good.
Cool.
They have really good lyrics. And the piano collides so well with what they're singing and the guitar. And they're just really talented guys all
That's
around.
cool.
And girl.
Are you just guitar, or do you have other instruments as well?
I can kind of play some piano.
Okay.
I feel like I'm out of practice because I don't have one anymore. I have finagle with, the tambourine, kazoo, egg shaker.
Oh, I love the egg shaker,
Yeah,
man.
I've been known to play a few cowbells in my day. I played drums on my first recording ever. I recorded 10 songs. Didn't really go anywhere with it. I still have it. I wasn't too impressed with it, but I played a glockenspiel. I played the drums. I played multiple guitar parts, bass, tambourine in one song. I think I even played a washboard on one song.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I've dabbled around with a lot of stuff, but mainly guitar.
Yeah.
And I can play piano. It's just I'm out of practice.
Sure, that's cool, man. So what made you choose South Dakota?
Work.
It was strictly work.
Yeah, they basically bribed me to come up here. At the time, I was engaged and I didn't want to move. My music career was taking off and stuff, and I didn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then they offered me even more money, and I was like, well, I'm going to take this opportunity. Okay, I'm not going to be an idiot here. So I did.
Yeah.
And, people come and go in your life, and I feel like I'm on the right path now. Not that I was on a wrong one before. I just feel like I'm on the right one now. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
I feel like there's multiple paths you could take in life, and I just chose a different one.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's many paths you could take. A lot of them are right. Mm-hmm. And it's about, I needed to figure out who I was and where I was going with my life. And work through some personal things that I couldn't get over. I mentioned suicide earlier. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can describe it is it's literally haunted me my entire life. It's like I wrote about it and I see it in the mirror looking back sometimes. And I could never get rid of it. It was just there, like a parasite in my brain. And suicide just has that way of latching onto things. And when people talk about it, they talk about they're weak-minded people, or they couldn't hack it. It's
Yeah,
really
they call
not
them
that.
selfish. They call them
selfish.
It's way deeper than that.
It's not. It's so much. It's like I can't even get rid of it.
Yeah.
And this is gonna sound crazy. I don't even know what I really believe as far as past lives go, but I had this idea because I would always dream about suicide, like I was supposed to do it, and just have these crazy dreams. It was really dark and just kind of frightening. And I would always wake up thinking like, I don't want to do it. Why do I want to do this? Because this is not what I'm supposed to do. Every time I would think about it, I used to literally get mad at my family because I felt like I was trapped here because they would be so disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had this idea. It was like, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I did that in a past life and I'm remembering it. Or I've experienced it in some way or fashion. And I don't know if that exists. I don't know if that's true. But ever since I've just had the idea that was a possibility, I literally have been fine.
Well, do you know you've probably heard about the whole multiverse theory, where like there's literally an unlimited amount of different dimensions or worlds where you have done different things, and you went left, and that in this other world you went right, and blah blah blah, blah and everything like that. I know it's cool. I love thinking about all that stuff because it's no one really knows for sure,
right? And
so
it's super interesting.
You can just get creative. Like I don't know,
And for me, it makes sense, because I'm really attracted to a lot of older. I'm a very old soul, and I feel like people with an old soul, maybe they're connected to something from another life. Whether it was them or whatever, I don't know about reincarnation. Maybe it's just their spirit, and they're just remembering this experience they had, and that's why they're so considered old-fashioned, or they're really into things that happened a long time ago, and whether it's music, whether it's the way they dress, doesn't matter.
I wonder if it's genetics.
Maybe.
Like,
Could be.
the genetics of your family have been, evolved over the years to be predisposed to ignoring all the shit that's around us in our modern world, and just like, I want something real, the authenticity of ancient things, I guess. But I don't know.
It's just interesting to think about. But ever since then, I just feel like it's almost like the ghost is gone, if that makes sense. I mean, there's still some, everybody has their own inner demons they're working on.
Yeah,
I still have, my own and different things like that. But that was the worst one. That was the most toxic one in my life. And it took years to get rid of that. And it was just a random thought that did it. So it's just kind of interesting to me. When you're talking about, we're predestined for things, and it's in our genetics, it's in our DNA. I definitely kind of agree with that in a way, because I've always been born with just like noticing things other people don't. I've always been good at figuring out how things work, how even people. And even at a young age, I was able to kind of see through a lot of bullshit and different things like that, and just kind of see the reality of things. And I don't know. I've always considered that kind of a gift, because a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
And so and maybe I was just born that way. I don't know.
See, I never believed in any of that stuff. I never believed that, DNA and genetics and, the evolution of humanity and everything like that. I just kind of saw it all as just complete crap. Like, it made no sense to me and everything like that. But the more I grow up and the more I look and study people and study just how humanity is and what humanity has done throughout its history, it's like there's something to be said about family genetics.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about this is you could go back a few generations and it's like, holy crap, my grandpa and I have this, or great grandpa and I have the same mindset,
Yeah.
And then my friends and completely different, but I don't
agree.
know.
And I don't even know, I think it might even go further than genetics, just based off personal experience, because I was adopted, and stuff, and I didn't really live with family.
Yeah.
But I feel like once your soul connects with another, you can learn things on such a sub level that you don't even know you're learning them. And it's like you're connected to this person now. You ever notice how old married couples tend to kind of look alike?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, I think it's because their soul is like latched onto each other, right?
I'm really hoping
like
my wife starts to look like me.
They're a piece of each other is with that person. And I feel like along the way, sharing different parts of my life and them sharing parts of their life have latched onto me, and that's where that came from.
Yeah.
It's like it's like Inception. They did it in my dream.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's
now.
cool though. I mean, it's really cool that
no
you
way to
can
explain it. It's
connect to someone that deeply.
It's just there now.
My dad was adopted, so all of my generation or genealogies that we have to trace back all go through my mother. And this was back in the 50s. He was adopted before he was 1 year old. So like they shut down. It was massive privacy. Like, there's no way we could ever find out who his real family was and everything like that. But I always wonder, because, you see those stories of, twins or, family members that were split up and then one was adopted and they meet their family later and it's like, holy crap, like we think the same or react the same. Because a whole different setting can change everything. But at the same time, I just wonder if there's certain things that just are you because of where you came from.
Yeah, and that could be. And I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
I
not
know
an expert
who
at
my
all.
real mom is, and stuff. But
Yeah.
I met my real dad like one time, and he.
Oh, you got to meet him?
Yeah, I was in kindergarten. I don't really remember him.
Oh,
I do
okay.
remember that he played the saxophone, so maybe that's where I got some of my music from. But other than that, I don't know. But I like to think, there's no way I have any sort of connection, because the way I believe and the way I feel and the way I am, there's no way I would not want an interest in, my kid's life.
Yeah.
Whether I didn't get along with the mom or whatever, doesn't matter. I would never want that.
Oh, I couldn't
So for me,
imagine.
it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know that I could even be connected to this person. And I got that trait easily from my dad, and it's just kind of interesting to think about,
It is.
And definitely products of our environment. Me and my brothers all turned out way different. We all went through a lot of the same stuff, but the way we turned out just went different directions. So it's just really interesting how people deal with things and how they're mentally and physically they deal with things. And a lot of it is what I've believe and what I've kind deduced in my life is that it comes down to choice. The choices we make are what defines us, not where we come from or anything like that. It's where we go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's cool,
that's kind of where I like to live my life.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Do you? So when you're obviously if you listen to your lyrics and listen to your stuff, all of that's coming out in your lyrics. You had one. I'm trying to see if I can remember it. The darkness wasn't my enemy, or
yeah, that's a song I wrote this year called "I'm Not a Hero." Well, I guess last year because it's 2019 now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. So I wrote that last year, and I keep my darkness close to me because it's not my enemy.
That's right.
I'm not a hero.
There. Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine when I moved here. I met a guy named Brock, and he's an old, just really gay guy. He's awesome. He's really into how the energy works in the world, and he has an interesting perception on life that I thoroughly enjoy, and I enjoy his opinion. Well, he once asked me, "Why do you hold on to all these things that happen to you? Why do you let it define who you are?" And I was like, I was trying not to be defensive, but I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know how to answer. I don't know how to answer the question. And I'm like, I don't think it defines me, all defensive, whatever.
How dare you?
That stuck with me for like a month, and I was like, "Hey, I finally have an answer to your question." He's like, "What question?" Told him, and he's like, "Oh, I asked that because I wanted you to know. I don't care."
Oh,
and I was like,
"Thanks, man."
You Miyagi'd me, okay. But
You
I wrote that song
Miyagi'd
because
me.
it's like, I have come back from a place multiple times that a lot of people do not come back from.
Yeah.
Mentally. And I've seen things, I've done things, I've been places, and a lot of people can't come back. And since I can, I feel like I hold on to that stuff, so I'm able to go to those places and save other people and bring them back. Does that make sense? Whether it's through music or through conversation or just physically being able to pull someone back in and teach them that they can still enjoy life, that there's still, hope. A lot of times when I was a kid, it sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't have no hope at all.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give up, but I couldn't because I had two brothers to take care of.
Yeah.
And when I came back from some of these places that I don't ever want to go back to, but I feel like it's like a superpower almost. It's like, I can do this. That's why I hold on to that darkness. It's not my enemy. I'm not a hero, but it's like, in a way, that darkness is my ability to help other people.
Yeah, well, it's like you can help people through it because you know the way. You've been
Yeah.
there. Here, you need to go this way. You need to go this route or anything like that. Like I always, I held on to pain and stuff in my past just because it became my identity. It definitely became my identity. It's like I'm this guy who went through this shit and everything like that. And for me it was very different than that. Like it was a giant weight, I guess. Mm-hmm. Some great songs came out of it, because that's kind of how songwriting works, you know.
Right. My tragedy is your pleasure.
Right,
You're
here
welcome.
you go. But the hard thing for me was once I let all that go, and just say, it's a part of my history, but it's not a part of who I am now. It got harder for me to write songs, because all of a sudden I wasn't feeling, not that I wasn't feeling at all, but I just wasn't feeling as deeply about these different things in my past that I had previously. And that was kind of a hard transition to learn how to write songs out of a different mindset than that for me anyway. And I still don't know if I've figured it out yet.
No, I 100% understand.
Yeah.
Like brought them up twice already. One of my favorite bands, Blue October, Justin Furstenfeld, I already say his last name. It's just an amazing songwriter. One of my favorites, definitely the most influential. I feel like if people haven't gotten the time to actually listen to him, they should. It's just powerful. Mm-hmm. And over the years, he was going through a lot. There was he was getting divorced from his ex-wife, losing custody of his kid on this album called Any Man in America. A lot of deep stuff, heavy stuff. And then Home came out, and he was happy. He was with somebody he really cared about. And then he wasn't drinking anymore, which is great. Mm-hmm. And a lot of his demons, I feel like he battled them and won. And so his music changed. And some people, criticize or whatever. And I love it. It's a different type of music, sure. It's about different things. but it shows the growth of that and the depth of that person.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
and I love that. And for him to be able to still write a good song after that is just amazing and inspiration to me, because I've dealt with some of these things, so I understand exactly what you're saying.
Well, if you like the artist, and then you follow their journey with no matter which
That's
style
exactly
it
how I
goes.
feel.
They might have a completely different style the next album, because that's where they're at in that life. And if you like the person, not the genre, then you follow them. You know what I mean?
And I mean, the genre's changed a little, and I still feel like it's pretty powerful, and maybe not as depressing.
Well, there's always similarities because it's coming from the same person.
Yeah, but maybe not as depressing, and I don't necessarily mind that. I like depressing music, but I still follow him, and I like it.
Yeah.
And so I know what you mean when you're saying, dude, it's hard to write stuff when you're in a good place.
Oh man, it's the hardest
I've
thing
never
ever.
written a happy song in my life.
Oh.
It's like really hard.
Like I got married this year, and I wrote a song for her for our wedding, and it's a totally happy song. But I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I look back on it, I'm like, man, some of those lyrics, they're just towing that. They're pointing out the fact that I wasn't happy before, so it's still kind of pointing to some some bad times.
That's
in
weird, because I'm totally writing a song about how I was feeling alone and unhappy, and I've made new friends, and now I'm in a better place.
Are you doing that right now?
That's what I'm currently working on. It's nowhere near even close to finished, but
yeah, it's harder to write when you're happy.
I'm wondering where I'm going to go after that, because it's like, sweet,
man.
The transition's done. Now, what do I write about?
Like, kudos to people that can do it, because there's a ton of happy songs out there, and that's amazing. But like, it is. I don't know if you feel like you're being cheesy or corny or what it is, but it's harder to do. I feel anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. The only happy song I feel like it's not necessarily easy to write, but can be done by a lot of musicians, is when you have that new love and you're in love with someone. A love song. It's been done 1,000 times. But
then it becomes like sappy almost.
Yeah,
like,
and that's fine, I guess. But that's still happy. But that's about as happy as I get. I
feel embarrassed singing it in front of a crowd. Like
Yeah.
I'm in love. Here's my song about it, or whatever the case.
Even
may
the
be.
song I wrote for my ex, called "Like a Fairy Tale," was a love song, I guess. But she had asked me a question once that kind of made me scratch my head a little, and she said, "Should I know something? You're always singing songs that are sad, and we're singing about breaking up and death and stuff. Are you okay?" And so I wanted to answer that question, and I didn't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine, but like, why am I writing all about this?
Yeah.
And so the lyrics, there's a line in there. It's like, every sad song that I write about breaking up or wanting to die is just me reaching out to save a life, because someone wrote a song that once saved mine. And that has kind of been what I kind of tell myself, like, hey, I know you're sad and you're writing this, but this is because this is why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always told myself. So that's where that song came from. And it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the same question from my wife. Like, why are your songs all about like being slammed or anything? Like, aren't you happy now? And this is when we were first dating, so it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But it took me a while to figure out what my answer was, and then when I realized, like, I write songs that are about 4 or 5 years behind where I'm at. It just takes me that long to process through what I've been through. I think. I don't know. I can't really.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
But yeah, so like all my songs are about my life from 4 or 5 years ago,
Oh, shoot,
and then it
makes
just
sense.
keeps progressing and everything like that. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see if in like 5 years, all my songs would be super happy love songs, and everybody like, oh damn it, Heath, I don't want to hear any of your Barry Manilow
I feel like
shit.
I get the idea of a song, right? Where like I have this one song, and it's maybe not be my best song, but it's about a story. I wanted to tell a story that I haven't been through, and it's about a wife who offed herself, and it's really sad. And she's like, why won't you come with me? That was the concept of the song, and I was like, oh man, I just thought of it. I was like, I like that. I want to write about it. It's called "Take the Plunge," and at the end of the song, there's just this refrain that says, "I know I let you down." It's like I'm still letting you down because I'm choosing to live my life. And it's
this
really
is
sad.
just you wanted to put a song together that you'd never been through. That's what this is.
Because I've never been I've never
And
been
that's
married.
the story you pick.
Yeah, I know, depressing. But that was the first time I tried something that I actually haven't been through.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then I did it one more time with "Oh My My My," and that's like the story of like a guy in a bar meets another guy who's just a complete drunk, and he's taking his drink to go, and he's gone, and he's like, well, I didn't stop him from driving. And then turns out he kills his wife. I got the idea from The Last Kiss, my favorite song. He kills his wife, and then this guy's like feels terrible that he didn't stop that from happening. He had the opportunity, and then he wants revenge, and kills that guy. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was just so I've written a few songs that are just stories. And there is some rooted truth in there, and that's just about guilt.
Yeah.
Which I've done things I'm not proud
Sure.
of.
Yeah. Everyone.
And so that there was some truth in there, but it's like stuff I haven't actually gone through. So maybe I can write songs about that. But
Yeah. Do you find it hard to do that? Write songs about stuff that aren't personal experiences?
I feel like because people don't know the truth behind that song, and obviously that some of the things have changed. I feel like it's still kind of easy a little emotion wise. I can still put my emotion in it, which makes a good song. And for me, it was kind of difficult to come up with. But at the same time, I used to write short stories and poems, and I was like, well, I think I could do this. And so putting your emotion in there can be hard unless if you have to root it in truth. If it's not rooted in truth, it's to me it's like trash. It's like my Quesadilla song. It was trash all up until I was like, well, I'm gonna put the last line in there, and it's like, that quesadillas hide everything on the inside. I don't want to hide everything on the inside. And I was like, that's the only reason that song still exists.
Is it a Taco Bell quesadilla, or was it just
it's just a quesadilla?
Were you like driving through the drive-through and like, oh man, I have a great idea for a song, bro?
No, actually, I was all burnt out from practicing. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to play some Blink. It was straight pop punk style. I'm going to play some Blink songs. And then I was playing, some Blink riffs. And then I was just kind of in the pop punk zone. I took a break. I was eating a quesadilla. I was like, I'm going to write a song about quesadilla right now.
That's funny, man.
And so I did. It was awesome.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, that's a level I have never been to. Quesadilla tunes. You could make it and then sell it and be in commercial. Have you ever thought on that? Like a lot of songwriters or jingle writers, and they make a living off of putting stuff for commercials.
I mean, I haven't. Yeah. But I always thought, like the ominous sounds in TV shows and the cool things like the ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba and Scrubs. Yeah. It's really sad. I always thought I'd be good at that because I can totally capture emotion, but I've never really tried.
I mean, when you think about it, that was one of the things that shocked. I guess it shouldn't have shocked me, but it did more than I realized when I got into music and songwriting and playing. It's like there is a ton of careers in the music industry, and it's not all top 40 hits. Playing on stage to millions of people and like that. And you can make a great living doing. I just poked myself in the eye doing a bunch of stuff. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could create some jingles, but I'm not that creative, at least yet. I got a buddy that I work with, and he makes those ambient sounds and stuff, and it's like, geez, man, that's really good.
See, sometimes I'll listen to like Moby and other, music like that, and it's just instrumental. There's no words, but I can still feel it, but that's kind of harder for me to do because I'm a lyrical person. And so sometimes I'll just write a song and it won't have any words at all, and it'll just be like really melodic and, I don't know, dark in a way that's just the tone. But then every time I'm playing it or I'm, playing whatever, anything like that, all I think about is 28 weeks later in the theme song because there's no words and it's awesome. I'm like, am I just playing that theme song? I'm like, I listen to it like, no, okay, it's something different, but that's all I think of when I play it.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
Yeah. So.
Well, and your head always goes somewhere, I guess, so it makes sense that eventually you would, I don't know, I feel like if I played a guitar long enough, I would eventually start playing songs I already know. And it just because I'd run out of ideas, but
and
people don't.
I even recorded it on my phone, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. There's no words. It's just notes, but it's very like Tool-esque, and I don't know, just kind of melodic and stuff. And I just wrote for the name "Fuck Zombies" because that's all I was thinking about the whole time was zombies chasing me. It's like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but whatever.
We'll work on the title at some point, but or it might stay.
Fine.
That's great. So have you been doing a lot of shows around here then since the past year? Like, is it picked up at least for you? Because I feel like I see your name a lot more than.
Oh, I mean,
recently anyway.
I got asked to do a gig. My good friend Chris Gay, I'm pretty sure if you're from around here, you've definitely heard of Chris. He's an amazing musician, definitely in awe of his guitar playing skills, far superior to mine. But he asked me if I would do a gig with him up at the Winterfest up in Lead.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to play that.
That's a fun. Have you ever been to that?
Yeah.
Dude.
No, I have not been.
Oh my gosh.
I've been to Lead once,
Lead knows how to do a Winterfest.
but I've never been to
It's a
Winterfest.
blast. I played there at the Opera House, the Homestake Opera House last year. Outside, 20-degree weather, by a fire pit. I was so cold still. My fingers were just basically.
I bet your guitar hated you. It's like,
Oh
listen,
my gosh,
man, this is bullshit.
Come on, Heath. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on. You're
But,
better than this.
But dude, Lead does everything right. Like all their big city events like that, you're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And the only reason he even asked me is because it's all originals, which I'm like, hell
Nice.
yeah,
That's cool.
And it's like 2 hours worth, and then they just changed it literally today to 3 hours. And he's like, I don't necessarily have that many originals. And I was like, sweet, I do. And I just have a lot.
That's cool.
I don't know. I just like to write
Where's it at?
songs.
Where's it at?
The Chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce?
Is that
I think they do the hiring, but they'll probably have you located somewhere.
It's at a venue. I want to say it's Louis. Is that a place up there?
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Well,
it's
on
there.
the way.
Don't
Yeah,
quote
yeah.
me on that.
Okay.
I think it's there. I don't
Okay.
know.
We'll
I
find
have
out.
never been. I've only driven through Lead and went to a cabin up there. I've never actually been to the
Gotcha.
town
Okay.
before.
Lead does a good job.
I'm super excited
yeah,
for it.
they do a really good job.
I haven't really had a lot of I guess if you consider it a gig, a paid gig. I've only had like one recently,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been playing everywhere. Flanagan's, I've Killian's a couple times. TJ's been playing there, and I just kind of in between sets. I was at Patty's the other day with TJ. We were just hanging out.
Sweet.
Our friend Tanner Johns is playing. He's like, Devin, DJ, you guys want to play some songs? Like, fuck yeah, we do. So
Might as
bam.
well.
We just played a random gig there, and whatever, it's fun. Just a few songs, and play at the Loud at every jam they have, and I just like playing everywhere. So
That's cool.
Me and Chris are playing a gig in March at the 445, which will be awesome.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm playing a gig. It's just for charity. They're giving me free food. I will play for free food any day of the week. I love food. So I'm playing at the Susie Kappa Art Center, and they do a lot of stuff with for art with handicapped kids and stuff. And it's just
okay.
for charity. It's an awesome event.
Sweet.
I did do it last year. I went as just a member of the crowd. Mm-hmm. I had a great time, and so I'm looking forward to that too. But yeah, just kind of play wherever.
That's cool, man. Yeah, do you find do you find going to open mics and that like just a blast? I mean, I guess being here only a year or so, it's cool to get to meet a lot of new people, and that's a good way to do it.
That's a great way to meet people. Yeah. I do find it a blast. What I like to do is find a new place I've never been, and I like when I went to Hawaii, or there's this town past Rapid. If you go on I-90, I don't know what it's called. It's small. It's right past Rapid.
Like New Underwood or
New Underwood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're amazing. So New Underwood, they have an open mic there on. I think it's Tuesdays. I haven't gone there yet.
Do they really?
Yeah, dude.
My
Some
buddy
bar.
Kenny lives out there. I haven't heard of this open mic.
Well,
That's pretty
Bill
far
Brown
for
told me
though.
about it, and he
Okay.
goes everywhere.
Okay.
And so I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. I like going to open mic at places like that because I've never been there. I don't know what the crowd is like. I don't know what kind of music they like or anything. So
Yeah.
I just want to go, and people are like, damn, that was, and I'm like, sweet. And then I'm coming back there, and then maybe I'll try to do a gig there.
Yeah.
Or it's just a way to get your name out there and meet the musicians in that town, meet the musicians in that state, depending on where you're at. It's a great opportunity to just have fun. And for me, I like to try out stuff I normally wouldn't play. Because if it doesn't go over that well, it wasn't a paid gig. I'm just
Right.
doing open mic. No one has high expectations.
Just having fun, everyone.
So like,
Just having fun.
literally wrote this song and never played it before in one of my life. That's what you do at open mic. Because that's every time you're at open mic, someone says that. And it's because that's what you're supposed to do.
That's what an open mic's for.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
put
like,
out your best stuff
well,
at an open mic.
Here's a song I literally just wrote. So you play it and people are like, that's good. You're like, oh yeah, sweet. Thank you for the feedback. Then you can work on it, bring it back, and then bam, now you have a paid gig. People are like,
Yeah.
that song's awesome. You're like, thanks, open mic.
How hard is it to build a music career up in one place and then leave it all behind and then try to rebuild it in a different place? Like, what are the struggles that have come your way? I can't even imagine.
Okay, when I first came here, and this is not my perspective now, but when you're an outsider and you come to a new place, it's like all about who you know.
Yeah.
And to an extent, that is 100% true. Mm-hmm. And so it was really tough. I just saw some shit on Facebook. I tried to follow different things. I was like, all right, they have a songwriter group because we had them back home. I followed that. That's how I met you. And then I just kind of asked around, and I knew some people, but I didn't actually know anyone. Mm-hmm. And so getting an actual gig is way harder than if you don't know anyone. You can find some different open mics, and even that was kind of a struggle because I didn't know that Loud did one every Wednesday.
Oh,
for
yeah.
like 4 months until
Yeah.
after living here for like 4 or 5 months. So it can be difficult. The thing, if I'm giving to advice for anybody listening, is just to A, don't get discouraged when you don't find it right away. B, be cordial and polite to the people you do go out to with. Get to know them a little bit. Definitely sit in, listen with their music, talk with them about their stuff, and then say, hey, where are you playing next? Go to their gig, which is something I didn't do right off the bat, but go to their gig, and then you can meet people, kind of see where some of these singing is, meet some different musicians and different things, and then say, hey, you know what? Do you know any open mics? Start there because it's a great place to start. And then once you start going and people hear you and they like what you have to play, they're gonna start talking to you. They're gonna come up to you, and that kind of makes it a little bit easier. And then it's like, hey man, I'm looking at playing, whatever, and just be upfront about it.
Yeah.
Just ask for it. Just be like, hey, you guys want to jam sometime? Hey, I know you just heard me. Would you mind if I try to book a gig here? Are you guys looking to book anybody? And just ask. Don't be afraid. That's about the only thing I can say.
Yeah, I mean, some people are going to say no, but some are going to say yes.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
And even if, like,
That's
if
life.
I met you and I'm like, hey, man, do you know anything about this? And you're like, yeah, you should come to this.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just a foot in the door. It may seem like, oh, I'm just playing a bunch of open mic, but you're meeting people. You're networking. And then you can put your name out there. Hey, like, I personally have stuff on iTunes and Spotify, so I could say, hey, check me out on iTunes, check me out on Spotify, whatever. And that helps out a tremendous deal, and then people can check you out, and then that just helps build and build and build, and it just takes time. Just keep doing that, and eventually you'll get to where you need to be.
Well, it's put in the legwork. Like a lot of people today, they don't realize that people are where they are because they put in the work. They put in the hours of going to open mics. They put in the hours and hours of playing at dive bars and stuff like that. And that's how you do it. If you go from zero to the top right away, you don't really appreciate it.
Yeah,
very
if you went
much.
from your bedroom to Carnegie Hall, you must know the best damn people on the planet.
You're just really well connected, and you are probably going to. You're going
to piss off every musician that
it doesn't
you
mean that
surpass
much to you. You know what I mean?
That's bullshit.
Like you don't have any of the blood, sweat, and tears that got you there to look at it and go, hey, I made it. You're just like, this was given to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think to that same kind of what we're talking about here, when you do start making it and you start getting in places, help other starting musicians.
Yeah.
Talk to them. See what their influences are. Give them good feedback, even if it's constructive criticism. Like, hey, I really like this. I think if you tried this here, that might be work better for you. Do you want to jam sometime? Just be supportive.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is start to make it and then be an arrogant asshole, because then other people aren't going to want to help you along the way. You're going to lose a following. You're not going to have people who respect you. And just remember to be humble. I mean, that's the biggest thing as a musician, as a person for me.
Yeah.
Anytime I've seen myself grow over the years, and I have, anytime other people come up to me or I see other people, I'm always 100% supportive. Getting out there and playing your own song is the most difficult thing you'll ever do, especially if it's your first time. So just be supportive to your fellow musicians, and you'll always prosper.
Yeah, and you never know what kind of gems are going to come out of it, especially when you give someone the opportunity to grow and develop.
Yeah.
And not try to thumb them down because they're getting on your turf or
Oh,
something like that.
I mean, Dave Grohl at one of his concerts let this, I think he was 10, maybe it had been 12, this 12-year-old play a guitar, and he was fucking awesome
I
at
remember
it.
seeing that, yeah.
And then he gave him the guitar, and I was like,
there you
that's
go.
badass as hell, man. That's just remembering to be humble. And,
He's a hero now, man.
that kid's, he's probably the coolest kid at school.
Where can people find your stuff online if they want to hunt you down?
iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, all of that stuff.
What do they search?
You just search Devon Sants, and you'll find me.
Sweet, man. This was fun.
Yeah, no,
Thanks
I
for
had a
coming
good
to the
time.
Heath
Thanks
Bar.
for having me.
It kind of
man.
went faster than I thought it would, but it's almost an hour and 20 minutes. It's pretty solid.
Yeah,
Man.
no, that's a lot of material there.
This is good. Well, cheers, dude. Thanks for being at the Heath Bar.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll see you soon.
That's it, folks. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. If you want to shoot me an email, go ahead and do so at heath@heathbaronline.com, or find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram at heathbaronline, or follow me on Twitter at Heath Johnson. We'll see you next time, folks.